What's going on, guys? Jason, Adventure Ready. Welcome back. Got another 40-foot high cube, wind and watertight shipping container up here. These are going fast, so normally I try and get about 4 to 6 of these on my property and use them for my personal projects and re-gift them as they become requested. So if you're looking for a shipping container, like I said, normally the 40-foot high cube wind and watertight's what I've been bringing up, just because they're the biggest bang for the buck right now. The 20s are still a little pricey depending where you go. 40-foot standard height aren't more than $100 to $200 difference than the high cube. The high cube is 9 foot 6 inches tall, and a standard is going to be 8 foot 6 inches tall. So you see right here, usually it's listed on the side. So right there, 9 foot 6, and like I said, a standard would be 8 foot 6. A foot doesn't sound like a lot of difference, but for an extra $100 to $200 difference on the actual pricing of these things, to get an extra foot long by 8 foot wide by 40 foot long is kind of a no-brainer. So anyway, this one's a little rough. These are wind and watertight. The speculation on wind and watertight, or the specifications, not speculation, as you can speculate, they might be a little beat up, a little bit banged up. I get lucky, a lot of them are really clean. This one's got a couple of little repairs, and all that is basically rust. There's one welded repair right there, which is standard over the course of a 15 to 18 year period in life. But all these little areas here, I mean, they got some scrapes and got some rust, and they just threw some primer on those things so it wouldn't get any worse. So but on the inside, things good, clean, no nasty chemical smells. You smell the wood floor, that's about it. And the locks work well, the latches on the front work well, so that's always a good thing. Otherwise, it's hard to get in and out of these things. Little patina on the back. On these corners, you're always going to get that. They rub on each other when they get transported through the ocean. So that's standard to get kind of rub rails like that. And then when the forklifts pick them up, they pick them either at the bottom or they cleat them at the top up here, and they'll get a little scratched up. Something like this you'll see occasionally, like a little divot in the bottom. They probably tried to pick this up with a standard forklift at one time when it was at someone's property or being moved around. I see that quite a bit. But like I said, these things were just decommissioned, so that means they were still traveling across the ocean up until probably the last 6 months, maybe even less. So, but yeah, difference between wind and watertight and cargo worthy. Cargo worthy means that they've actually had a inspection done when it came back, and what they're mainly looking for is these pillars. Checking to make sure these pillars have no integrity issues, no major damage, no major bends, because they can still stack them up to, I think, 12 high on the barges, and that they'll support the weight. All your weight's supported in this frame, boom, right here on these corners. And the frame itself that goes across the bottom, even with that divot over there, and there's a couple divots down here, you can see same kind of thing. That top rail, that's what they're looking at. So, and they're looking at they tightly close up to keep water and debris out of there, obviously, if you're gonna go across the ocean. So a wind and watertight and the cargo worthy, you'll find that are almost identical most of the times. Even with these bumps and bruises, you're gonna find that on cargo worthies here as well. The wind and watertight just means they did not re-inspect them. So if you say you bought one of these and had an inkling to send something to Japan, you'd have to go and have it actually certified and checked over before you could send it overseas. So but not many of my customers are looking for that. I'm not looking for that. Handles are a big thing. I always want to make sure the handles work. Obviously the rubber, make sure that has a nice seal on it. They don't bind. These can bend a little bit because a lot of people bump them with forklifts or bump them with a truck or whatever, but if they get bowed, they can be really a pain in the butt to get closed. One of the nice things, a company called Mytee, M-Y-T-E-E, out of Ohio, they sell this whole kit for this. So some are gonna be riveted on, some are gonna be bolted on, but they sell the rubber gaskets, the metal pieces. I mean, you can put brand new hardware on any container basically. And I think they're only about 65 bucks, $65 for the kit. There might be some little doodads. I mean, figure $100. I know you can make this front of this thing, like, you know, all the components brand new. So also rubber seals, they sell replacement rubber seals. I've never had to replace one yet. I've had a couple that have a little bit of maybe some gouging at the bottom for some reason. Once again, probably a forklift tried to lift it and hit it or something like that. It's hard to do that, or the door got hit when the forklift was going in and out. But yeah, those are things to think about. Lock boxes on these. If you pay a company that does buy and sell and deliver these containers, they might charge you $350, you know, $250, $350 for a lock box. I can tell you the same thing, that Mytee company, for about 60 to 70, you know, 55 to 70 bucks, somewhere in there, depending on what style. They make a lock box that goes right in place where that little latch thing is there, right over top of that area, and it has a they can be bolt on, weld on, or riveted on. So you can do it pretty much. I mean, look at which one you're looking at if you want a lock box. I don't carry them. I'm always saying I'm stock up on them. I just never catch up on my inventory, so I haven't. But I mean, if you want a lock box, you can buy it, have it delivered to your local, you know, to your place or to wherever you get your mail at, and put those on pretty easily. So don't pay an outfit $250, $300 to put one of those on. So, and the lock box just allows you a box right here that comes out and has a little hook that comes out, a little U-bolt basically, or a little piece of metal that you can put a lock up inside there, and it just keeps the lock buried up in there where you can't get two with a pair of clippers or a grinder. You have locks here. You can lock there, 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 and there. If you lock this side with one, they can't access that side, so it's not really, doesn't make sense to put them on both sides. You put two here to make it more of a pain in the ass. The biggest thing with locks and this metal, these for storage and for containment and security, is you're trying to, persuade someone to go down the street and hit someone else's house, probably your neighbor, unfortunately, if he doesn't have a container. But the concept is to deter theft, and theft is not a contrary to what you might think. It's not a real heavy-ended, efforted business. They're really looking for the easiest, the lowest hanging fruit, the easiest path of least resistance. So they want to be able to go and break into like a little Home Depot wood shed that you can kick in with your own feet, kick the door in, with a donkey kick style. You can break in and steal everyone's tools. You can break into these things like mine. I have a lock on the outside, no lockbox, but mine are on my property that I live on full time. If I put once I start putting them out of my bigger property, I'm not out there, I'll put a lockbox on there. But I have a lock on mine, on the levers. Then I have cable locks that run through all my bicycles and stuff, to where like it's just such a pain in the ass to steal it, you to go somewhere else. Then I have my tools with their own boxes with their own locks. So, I have like quadruple locks. So if someone broke into mine, it would be like playing a game show, except for the prizes. You get shot if I come outside. So it's a really crappy prize, but you'd literally have to go through one after the other. Lock, shit, never mind. The only thing that's not locked down is like a pair of gloves or some crappy scrap metal. And they'd be like, oh, cool, take that. It'd really be a deterrent. So anyway, so you saw the outside of this one's a little funky looking with a couple patches. The inside is a little bit too, but you can see structure, this is in great shape. The roof actually has no flaws at all, which is pretty good. Actually, take that back. It has one patch. When you see a patch like that, that's, during its shipping course. That's usually not a private party. That's someone that, obviously has a plethora of little pieces laying around because they will fit that thing perfectly and weld that in there. So you'll find that there's one back here on the wall as well. Right here, that's not a piece of scrap metal from Home Depot. That's a piece of a container, might even be this container. Well, actually probably it's gonna be a separate container, but yeah, but it's a container piece because it has the same bend. They didn't go and shape this thing. So that usually means it was done during its circulation while it was being utilized. You wanna get back on the port and send someone overseas. You do a nice weld patch on there, get that thing, rechecked out, and they give it a stamp of approval and go. Someone's repainted this one at one time, kind of like a real light primary type coat it looks like in here. Had kind of a white coat, or maybe the gray was there and the white came after. I think it looks like the gray came after. But anyway, really clean actually inside. The floor is in great shape. Wind and water tight. The floor has to be tight too. You can't have a bunch of bugs and rodents coming up through these things. So wind and water tight, even when they have a little bit of patina on the outside, a little bit of rust buildup. You can see the back wall looked pretty ugly from the outside, but from the inside it has no dents at all. And no calcification with that. So these are pretty thick. Like I said, when they say wind and water tight, it's going to be wind and water tight. You got a vent right there. Probably have a front vent. Most of these will have a one vent in the corner in the back and one in the front. That's the only thing you have on the back wall. But like I said, from the exterior of the back wall, you see a lot more contact points, this and that, and a little bit of rust and patina. But yeah, this thing is pretty nice. Like I said, this is what I'm bringing up here, the 40-foot high cube wind and water tight. I can get one trips, I can get cargo worthy, I can get 20s, I can get standard height, that's 8.6, or I can get the high cube, which is the 9.6 foot tall. If you guys are interested in a container, get in touch with me, 928-243-3443. And glad to help you out. And if you just need some advice on one, I'm out in Apache County, Arizona. I can serve all of Arizona. I do California as well, but I try to avoid anything down there. I pick things up down there and bring them up here. So if you need just some advice on some or need some parts for some, put it in the comments there. I'll respond to every comment I can as I can get to it. And yeah, if you need something, I'll reach out. Pretty good community up here. Everyone kind of scratched each other's backs. If I need a tractor, I knew who to call. If I need a septic system put in, I know who to call. If someone needs a container, they know who to call. It works out pretty well like that, like community should. So anyway, stay safe out there, guys. If you need a container, definitely get in touch. This container is already spoken for. I rarely get a stock up here, so as I bring them up, they're pretty much gone. So, so if you want one, let me know and give me some dates, and I prioritize by communication. So if you reach out to me via comments, we exchange numbers. I need a phone call to commit. No deposit, nothing like that. Don't give people deposits online. They will take your deposit. There's a lot of scams in this industry. It's pretty ugly. I talk to people weekly that gets their money taken from them by online transactions. So steer clear of that. If the guy has some, crazy name you can't pronounce on Facebook, and he has a picture that looks like he's in a different world that you don't even live in, with a container in the background, kind of like superimposed. Is probably not legitimate. So too local if you can, and no deposit should be necessary. Right on, guys. Take care.